Should we review this before it gets dark? Because I sort of turn into a vampire when it gets dark.
That's a good idea, yes. Because we were reviewing Bob Dylan. No, we're not reviewing Bob Dylan. We're reviewing Roy Harper. And we would like to tilt our hats off to him. And the album is called Stormcock, which is the morning bird, something. But it's a bird who sings particularly after lots of windy, stormy weather. So that's a thing.
It's the cock of storms.
Yeah, the cock of storms. We're doing a load of folk stuff now, then, aren't we? So we're going to do this, and then we're doing Bob Dylan. But I'm not a word person. I like arranging words. And I like silly phrases. But I'm almost taking. It's like whenever I see my brother, we always speak French because we can't speak French. It's a bit like that, I couldn't write a poem, and I certainly couldn't critique one. Do you remember when we wrote poems at school?
Did we write poems at school?
Yeah, but even then we were just taking the piss, which is writing shit, which we knew was terrible and funny. I think his fans are a bit like Jeff Beck fans in that he's so amazing. He is the biggest thing ever. He's so big. He's bigger than big. It's the big, and he should be the biggest. He should be more successful than the Beatles, really. And he's done all right, really. It's not that bad,
I'm sure I came across a Guardian article on how Roy Harper didn't quite make it.
There is a suggestion, but look, he's all right. There was, I think, this album is actually where it wasn't as big a hit as he expected because he'd been name checked on Led Zeppelin 3. This is his album after that.
Right, okay.
I think that's where that comes from. But everyone knows who he is, don't they? He's all right. It's fine. He's big. Like he likes Keats and he likes Jack Kerouac, so he likes poetry, proper poetry. It's that kind of thing. And it's that familiar folky sound. You could have it on. You could just have it on, and it's a nice sound. And as we are rock people, and straight away you hear the influence on Jethro Tull and Floyd and Led Zeppelin. I don't know if he influenced folk music, but I would assume so. I think that might take a sting out of the album a bit. That there's so much that it's familiar. It's familiar because this is where it came from. I keep hearing little bits of things. But the other thing is the acoustic guitar. It's not just acoustic guitar, actually. There's all these embellishments, which is really nice. But the strings are like different elements of an orchestra. So the bottom string is one thing, and he's sort of attacking the guitar kind of thing. It's a bit like Joni Mitchell, but there's less of an attack there, and more about using different parts of the guitar for different instruments almost. That's actually really good. And as I said, it wasn't that successful. The record company sucked, supposedly. Jimmy Page is on this. He's I think it's track 4 he's on. 4 songs, 2 epics, 2 long songs. That's how I would say it. So there's 2 that are over 10 minutes, and there's 2 that are about 7 or 8 minutes. And he does get the epic journey feeling with almost 2 acoustic guitars, not entirely, but almost. And at the same time, it went by very quick for me. It seems like a really short album. It's only 37 minutes, but it's only 4 songs. But they go ever so quick. The first song, if you compare that to Bob Dylan, it's more explicitly counterculture. It sounds much more hippie to me. And particularly track 4 is that as well. He is raging against the machine, not like in the good old days. The second track is very, very Bob Dylan. He's got a much more melodic voice than Bob Dylan. He can sing the notes. And really, really Tull. Aqualung was this year, the same year as this album. And track 2 sounds a lot like Mother Goose. A lot. First time I put it on, what I was going to do, I put it on, I was going to have clips of each song. So the sound of it was in my head, and then we'll go back to it. And I sat and listened to the whole thing because this is really good. If you like the folky thing, this is really good. And Bob is going to have to be good. When we do Mr. Dylan, he's going to have to be really good. And I didn't buy this album. I bought this 80s Bob Dylan album instead.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Review, yeah?
Yeah.
Da-na-na-na-na. I thought I had Roy Harper pegged, before we listened to this. I thought, I know what Roy Harper is. I thought he was some kind of bluesy guy. And I think I got that association from Led 3.
Right.
Led Zeppelin, lots of blues songs. They like Roy Harper because he's like a bluesman. Whatever. I was completely wrong. Isn't he on Wish You Were Here as well?
Yes, he sings Have a Cigar.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was sort of like he did that because he's got this gravelly voice, because he's so blues. Yeah, like the good blues singers.
Yeah.
Smokestack Light, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those guys. They're all blues and roll.
It wasn't. It was folk. And I was like, this is a bit weird. This is folk. Oh, there's going to be lots of folk. But you're right. It sounded very nice to start with, and in fact, we listened to it today in the car on the way back from our little hike, and Sarah fell asleep to it, and she says because it was quite nice. But actually, while I was asleep, while she was asleep, I was like, this is a revelation. There's so much more than for just folk music here. It's just sort of. There's moments where he's using the guitar almost like you would expect in real trippy Indian sitar music.
Yes.
That sort of thing. And
yeah. Drone strings.
This is awesome. This is like, what is this?
Yeah.
And suddenly I understood why he's got this reputation as a bit of an underachiever. He should have been better, because there's nothing else, in my mind, there's nothing else like it. Yeah, it's sort of progressive, folky, almost psychedelia stuff in there, and it sounds good. It sounds sort of like,
yeah.
I didn't particularly listen to the lyrics, which is,
I pretty much steered clear completely of the lyrics.
You stay, yeah.
I decided to not go there and just do the music. I know what one song's about, but other than that,
Yeah, well, I was so enthralled by the music, actually, but I just thought, I haven't got time to get into this. I got the sense there was something more there, and actually, this guy's quite good and deserves a little bit more consideration than just sort of like 1 week of listening to it when I get chance. So yeah, it really blew me away. I haven't been blown away by an album for quite a while now. And this one did it. I did not expect it. Even the name Stormcock, it's a piss take, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
He's managed to get the word cock in an album title.
Yeah, just like Jethro Tull, it's the same kind of thing, Yeah.
When it first, when I first saw it, I did think, okay, this is Jethro Tull. Big influence on Jethro Tull. Then I thought, actually, there was parts of the first track, it's called Hors, which I thought reminded me of Radiohead. Just the vocal styling.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And I thought, actually, and it sounded quite a lot like Radiohead, and I thought, flipping it, man, this is obviously quite influential. And then the same old rock turned into this, what I thought was a bit more, I don't know what the word is. It's kind of, the psychedelic, the sitar guitar and everything. It was sort of like, what? This is sort of, it's almost like meditation music, but it's something, there's more there, because meditation music is more about getting your mind into a certain mindset, but this feels like it's getting my mind into a certain mindset to do more stuff. So once I'm in that mindset, I'm assuming the vocals and everything else can sort of like have their most potent effect or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it actually really.
It is, it's the same as me. It's the guitar. In my head, it's like you could arrange it for an orchestra.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a massive orchestral piece that's just a couple of guitars.
Yeah, and actually,
Which is amazing.
An orchestral moment in Me and My Woman. Where the orchestra, and I was actually quite disappointed. I thought, you don't need that.
Yeah, because it's
not enough going on, sort of thing. But it was only a very short moment, and then it came back to the guitars, and then it played out perfectly. Then it was just sort of.
Yeah, I do like that as well. That it doesn't. It's not like it has to be just two guitars. When he feels he wants to do that, a little bit of keyboard will come in, or a little bit of orchestra will come in, but quite rarely, which is great. Or sometimes he harmonises with himself. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a really, really good album.
Yeah.
Maybe underappreciated. One of the.
Although the fourth track, which I think that's the longest one, I think that's the 13-minute one. Because obviously we've just done Roger Waters, and we both criticised him for being very one note on his lyrical subjects. Well, this song is about it's an attack on government, the history of war, and organised religion. So it's the same again. It's almost like there's this link with rock music and being anti-establishment. That's the one with Jimmy Page on it as well, which is cool. Yeah. I think the first track has this descending line at the end of it as well, going down into the music. So I think it's there is a sort of concept album-y structure to it, or at least the order he's put the songs in. I think managed by Peter Jenner. It's funny when you said Psychedelia. I think at much the same time as he was managing Sid, post Floyd, which is interesting. I think for Peter Jenner, that's a similar kind of thing. This sort of enigmatic individual people. But this is someone. You know what? I was expecting a folky guy who strums his guitar and makes amazing songs, and he's just strumming. So in that sense, he's nothing like Sid at all, because he's constructing this awesome music. Bill Bruford played with him a bit in the mid-70s.
Really?
That says a lot. I think obviously there's something rhythmic happening there that's not drumming, and that interested Bill enough to think at that point, the post King Crimson period, where he was trying to do lots of different things, that he wanted to get involved in that. So this is one of those mythical, not massive albums. It's Neural Milk Hotel.
Sorry?
Neural Milk Hotel was that band that weren't a success in the 90s. Oh, you've got to listen to it, man. Yeah, it sounds like an album from the 90s. It's kind of one of them, but this is obviously a really, really good album. You do get a lot of rhetoric being thrown around this. I was looking at different quotes. I've only picked one, okay, because this is just bizarre. I've forgotten who this was by, but maybe Johnny Marr. It might have been Johnny Marr that said this. So if there was ever a secret weapon of a record, it would be Stormcock. It's intense and beautiful and clever. Great, okay. Bowie's Hunky Dory. It's Big Badder Brother. Okay, Hunky Dory is the album with Changes and Life on Mars on it.
Right.
What does that have to do with Stormcock? Nothing at all. Bollocks. They're just talking nonsense. But yeah, regardless of that, this is really good. A 5-egg album.
Yeah, I agree. 5 eggs.
It's a must listen for 70s people, etc., that kind of thing. If you have any interest in hearing something, acoustic music, this one is awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, and as it turned out, quite a different thing to Bob Dylan. It's not the same thing, is it? But we'll find out about that.
I'm guessing not.
And he's a better singer.
We've got to review Bob Dylan next time. A guy who is famously all about the lyrics.
And not the singing. We're going to have lots of fun making fun of his singing. It's going to be great. Well, he's so lionised. That we can make fun of his singing. Because that's funny.
I actually don't like the guy. I think he's a Stormcock. He's sort of, you know that famous documentary, that black and white documentary where they follow him around?
On the 60s?
In London.
Yeah.
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 I find him quite abrasive and...
Interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Right, that's it. Okay, great. Hope you enjoyed that one. Next, these are all Patreon requests, by the way, but this next Patreon request is Bob Dylan, as we said. We're doing 3 Bob Dylan albums, though, and they've been voted for by you. See you next week.